Okay, I was about calling you. Sorry, because I couldn't see you in the meeting. So the UL tag creates user list, ordered list, sorry, another list one, list two, list three, list four. So we are going to view this list on our website. So see what it looks like. All right, so let me share our browser once. Okay, so this is a CNN website. We want to check CNN website. So you can see the CNN website, and from the top, you see the list item one, list two, list three, list four, list one, list one, list two, list three, list four, list five. All right, so if you go back to our page, these are the lists: list one, list two, list three, and list four. So we'll have to put them side by side. So when you use the UL tag, you have bullet points like this. All right. So, but when we're going to convert all this to menu items, and then we'll remove this default styling that you already have. All right. So your nav link already has all this, contains all these content. The nav bar is the parent element of this, the grandparent of the parent, the grandparent of these children, child element. So let's go back to our code so that we can style it a bit, then we'll see the difference. So we have 5 elements. This one, li number 5, is item 5. So nav is a computer word, so we can use it directly in our style. So I could just say nav. Sorry. Nav, background color should be black. All right. So remember, the UL is the direct parent element to all the LIs, right? So I can give the UL color white, which means text color for the text, for the UL. All the list items should be white, all the LI tags. This is the parent. So I can give them color white. Okay, so let's go back and check our browser, see what we get in return. So the nav is now black and the UL remains white. The UL is the parent controlling the child element. So since we use the UL to give them color, we can use the same UL to flex them because that's the direct parent. So we'll go back to our code and flex them directly. Go back. This is the direct parent to the UL li tag, right? So we'll display flex. So we display flex. I'll call you back. I'll call you back. I'm in a meeting. So let's. Sorry about that, please. Okay, so let's check our flex. All right, so we have, see the UL elements. All right, it now lies side by side. However, we need to add some spacing and styling to this. So we'll go back to our browser, our code editor, sorry. So now what do we want to work on the child element, right? So let's make sure we specify. Remember, LI is a computer word because we use it to create the child element, the list items, right? So we can actually give the children margin so as to have spacing between them. Each of the LI should have a margin to the right side so that the next element by the side will give some spacing to the predecessor. Yes, I think. Yes, the predecessor, that is the element that comes before it. So margin right 20px will not be bad. You can see and check for ourselves what it looks like. So we go back to our browser, check again and see what we get in return. Okay, so that's the spacing. Looking nice, but we still need to, let me zoom the page a little bit so that, okay, so we need to remove these dots. So these are default styling. So we can remove that default styling in CSS. Go back to our code, remove the default styling with list style, list item style. That's what it represents, the list item style. So we'll just set it to none. So that's it. List item style none. All right, go back one more time, check, see what we get in return. Okay, so we'll get making sense. So the first element is world, US politics, okay? World, US politics, business, world, US politics, business, health, and more. Okay, so world, politics. So, yes, sir. Okay, yo. I can't hear you because it's kind of breaking. No. Come again, sir. The network is not so clear. I can hear you now. Can you go again? Okay, so what we need to do next is add some of the contents. World, US politics, right? US politics, yes. US politics, business. So let's go back to our code. HTML for content, world. Next is US politics. Let me put health here. Let's use business here. Hello. And let's add more here.
Hello.
Okay, so your network, I think I was having issue with your network. Maybe you can ask your question now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. I was going to ask that this style none. What does it do?
Okay, so the sign on removes the dots around the, let me go back and change this to our browser. The sign on, we're having white dots here, and here as well. So the sign on, it's a styling for list numbers or listed items. Like, you know, you're trying to count lists of items, and then you use dots, bullet signs. We call it bullet signs. So when you go to CSS and you use list style none, it will remove those bullet styles from the list element. You know, those bullet styles are inherited from the UL, on other lists. If I go back to my HTML and add OL, it will assign numbers to them. Sorry, I've updated this text. These texts have been updated in my HTML. I just type the text in HTML. So let me go back to my browsers. This is CSS. If I remove this list style none, save it, go back to my browser, refresh, you see the dots. That's what it does. So go back to, you don't need it for menus. You use it for items in your paragraph or tag lists or something, but not for menus. We don't need it in our menu. And if I as well change this from UL to ordered lists, that means numbering, it will change the dots. It will change the dots to, it will change the dots to numbers. So you go back and you check, see what's gonna happen. Oh, sorry, I hope I didn't, did I do anything wrong? What have I done? Okay, let's go back, HTML. Let's go back to our code. Line. Yeah, ordered lists. Okay, what happened? OL, ordered list, UL. Did I change? Oh, okay, yeah, the CSS. I was using UL here, so I have to use OL because I changed the tag, the CSS property type. Let me go back and so number 1, word, 2, US, 3, 4. So it's automatic styling. So I could just go back and remove the styling from there. You know, I could just say list style none, and my style will disappear. Okay, list style none, save it, and then check it out and see the difference. So that's list style none. It's just to remove the default styling.
Okay.
Can we go on, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll sort this out, right? So this is it. So we created this. We can't create, we don't need to create this with UL, but we can as well try to put this in UL as well. It will make sense, right? It will. all we have to do is just put an image inside our li. That would be nice. So let's go back. HTML. So since we have Control C, Control V, Control V. So I'm going to replace this with IMG tag. IMG.
Sorry, that's OL tag. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the OL tag that we are using here.
I just left it there, but I'll still update it. Let me update it.
So I didn't get it. Hello?
So IMG.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, so IMG SRC.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to ask a question.
I can hear background sound from your. Maybe you should mute when you want to ask
Yeah,
questions.
because I'm using two devices actually. My network is not stable, so I'm using my phone and my laptop. But I've muted the other one now. I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Is it only used now? We have now.
Sir? I think the network is your network is not clear. So maybe you should just type.
I said that this
read the question, then I'll be able to treat it. The sound is not. Okay, so IMG SRC. The first image is the hamburger menu. So hamburger, I have that one. The second image is the CNN logo. I have that one. So let's save. And check it out in the browser. Okay, so we have our logos now. So what we need to do is adjust it a little bit. The sizes are large. So for now, I'm going to use the IMG word. I can pass an ID here. Like I can say ID logo. No, ID icon. I give my image an ID as well. ID icon. So the reason I'm doing this is so that when I add a style to icon, it will automatically adjust both images. Since the two images bear the same ID, all I have to do is just style this icon and it will automatically affect all elements that contains the ID name. So let's go to nav.css I can see your question, so I'll go through it, sir. So now I can, like I said, so let's just put icon here. It's an ID, so I'll begin with the I symbol icon. Then all I have to do next is I want to add a width of 40 px and the height of 40 px. Save it. So let's go back and share this one. Okay, so we're almost there. So let's just let me see the questions. Okay, so the URL tag is not just used with the URL tag is not just used with the nav tag. You use it anywhere in your P tag, anywhere at all. The nav tag is actually this bar we are using here. But I love to put the nav tag inside another tag, which is called the div tag. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to put it inside whatever. Now, my li tags are not properly centered. And for some reason, I like to use a div for my images and a div for my text, and then just like that. Just like that. So just to let you know that list items are used for list items, to list item generally. Like item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. That's why we use the UL tag, just to list item. All right, so please don't forget. All right, so each example, you can just say list item 1, like number 1, list of fruits. Okay, so you can say that fruits number 1, mango. Number 2, you can also say that this fruit is orange. So before you can create a list, you have to put them inside the UL tag. So without the UL tag, you can't create li1, li2, li3. All right. So now positioning your elements is a serious issue in UI design. Positioning elements. How do you position elements that are floating like this? Well, the first thing you want to do is, I don't know if I should move a bit further to do some adjustment. Like there's something called absolute positioning, relative positioning. But sometimes I like to separate things. If you go back to your HTML, we're having issue with the positioning because these IMGs has increased the space of the airline, and it is a problem. You have to separate these other airlines with their tag. So in that case, I would prefer to use these two guys outside as Control X. Sorry. So I'm going to separate them All right, I'm going to put them somewhere different. I'll create a div and place them in a div. You see, but I'm not going to use the li for them anymore because they are not going to be listed items, list items. Sorry. So I'll use the div to make their position, adjust their position, the height and width. All right, so let me save this. All right, let's go back to our page and see. Now it's no longer part of the li elements. They are not sharing spaces any longer. So you can see now that we're having the elements sitting side by side, but these guys are no longer flexed with him, with this. All right, it means we need a parent that is going to house, store these two child elements, then flex them side by side. We already have a UL that's flexing this entire row. All right, so this class is a very critical class and you need to understand it. I'll suggest you watch the video again, over and over again. This tag has UL, all right? This tag has UL and the UL flexed this particular text. We have IMG, they can sit side by side by default if the sizes are small. But we have a div that is wrapping this. We have the UL that is wrapping this. So the div wrapping this and the UL wrapping this, both of them are child elements of this big box navbar. So this navbar, this div right here, or navbar, can flex these two elements, which is div and UL, as child elements to sit side by side. So let's check that out now. So now this is first child, second child sits under the parents. So we flex the parents. When we flex the parents, the first child will be on the first position, the second child will be the next position. And that's it. So we'll go to our CSS, locate the nav, display, flex. All right. Then we'll go back to our browser to check it. You see? So now we are getting there closely. Gradually we are moving, we're getting close. All right, so remember my page is zoomed in, so I can zoom out a little bit since we are getting there. It's 125. Still have the other ones stretched on this side. We've not started working on those ones. Okay, so we can begin to use margin left to adjust the margin here so that this one we can push it away from the side and all that. So now we still have a lot to do. Okay. The other ones by the right, they also need to stay in a div or a UL tag. All right. If I use UL, it will inherit the automatic styling. And there'll be a lot of issues. So let me just put them in a div, which means third child, because we have three elements that are actually sitting on that particular number, separated using whatever. Look at it. We classify these two as first child, this second child, and now third child. All right. Okay, so we need to do the same. So what we need to create now is audio, the search button, and the login. All right. So let's do that. See how we can do that fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I can use my UL here since I'm inside a direct parent. I can use my UL inside my direct parent here. All right, so UL, and I can use LI. I don't have any image, so I don't think I'll be having issue there. I have any image, I'll know what to do. So UL, first is audio. LI is search. LI, this is a button, so we need a button tag inside our LI. The button is login. Save. All right, so let's go back to our browser, see what it looks like. Fresh. Okay, so we have it now. This is our search, blah, 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 like so. All right, so now we need to push this guy to the end. All right, you're not supposed to use margin right, margin left, and all that. Flex is what you're using. You should use flex to control movement. Now, if we bundle these two guys together inside one parent, a single parent, and we bundle this guy into a single parent, we can use a CSS property called justify content. Yeah, justify content stretch. Let me see. Let's go back to our code. So, oh, space between, yeah, space between. Let me apply that. Now, one thing I didn't explain to you. The moment we apply this UL, even if inside our div, it automatically flex this element because we have set UL to flex. So any time we use the tag name by default, it flexes the element. And we set the LI to remove all the style. So all the bullet style, like numbering or whatever, did not appear here. So it became a universal styling. But I wouldn't suggest you do this. I won't suggest you do this. I won't suggest you do this because just give your LI ID, whatever, because you'll be using LI in your paragraph text. So you don't want to do that. So let us just do what we need to do fast. Go back here. This is the UL. This is the nav. The nav is set to flex. Now let me show you this. So justify content, space between. That's it. Save it. And then we stretch it. So you can see because there are 3 child elements, so it's spacing them, giving them even spaces, right? So we have to join this child to this so that both of them will just sit here rather than, separating themselves. So let's go back and put a div to surround these 2 elements. All right, so we have this div here and the UL here. What the nav looks at is the direct children. So in a nutshell, what we need to do is to open a div here. All right, so all these elements here, I want to push them inside. So I just push them inside, right? This is a div. Sorry. I have a separate div here. So this div is going to end here. All right, so this div is actually, oh, my time is up. My time is up. So this div is now the first div, and this div is now the second div. All right, save this and preview it for you to see, so you can see what happened. So I'll do the continuity of this video and send it to you. All right, sorry. Okay.